Hey, Mike, what do Kelly Slater and PT have in common?
I don't know. They're both world champs?
Nope, they both own Endless Summer box set.
Oh my God, rad. You guys, you can get it too. The link's in the show notes. Hey, this is Mike with the Quivercasts, brought to you by quiverbuilder.com, an online community where you buy, sell, and surf for your next magic board. All right, hello everyone. This is Mike here with the Quivercast, sitting on beautiful Fire Mountain in Oceanside, and I have Jamey Stone here with us this afternoon. How you doing, Jamey?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Stoked. I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for inviting me over and finding out what's going on in your life.
Right on.
Let's start off with when did you start surfing, Jamey?
I started surfing at 10 years old. It was 1980, right here in Oceanside.
Okay, same year as I started, and I was 10 too.
Awesome.
So we're the same age. And then we're out in Oceanside. Did you go like straight down here or the pier?
Actually, the very first place I surfed was just south of Carlsbad, Warm Water Jetty.
Okay.
Because a lot of our friends would ride our bikes. We'd ride and meet down at the Strawberry Stand down here.
Okay.
Before dark, me, Paul Vasquez, Charlie Anderson, some of the older guys, and we would ride our bikes to Carlsbad and just spend the day trying to figure out how to get up and how to paddle. And I mean, we were little kids, little chubby cheek little guys. So that was what it was. Yeah.
Was that summer, winter? Did you have wetsuit? No wetsuit? You guys charging in the winter? No wetsuit?
Yeah, I think eventually we got the stuff. At first, it was pretty much just white trash style, getting out there, whatever you had. But as you got better, you accumulated little things along the way.
Okay.
And
And then so let me ask you this: so you're 10 years old. Why'd you guys pick Carlsbad, not straight out here?
You know, I don't really think it was by choice. I kind of, looking back now, I think I really know why. Mm-hmm. I think it was because back then Oceanside was so tough. I think our parents probably preferred us there.
Okay.
I was kind of a latchkey kid. My mom didn't really know where I was at all day because she was a single mom with 3 kids.
Okay.
But I think some of the kids I met up with, I was just kind of following their lead. And also, I think the waves are easier to learn in Carlsbad. You know, it's a little bit rollier, it's easier. So I think it was the combination of those things. Yeah.
Okay. And warm waters? You didn't surf Tamarack, or you guys just mixed the whole area?
The first place I ever stood up was, we used to call it Igor's, or Hole in the Fence, which is kind of between Tamarack and Warm Waters.
Okay.
But the daily hang was anywhere between State Beach and the Tamarack Zone or Warm Waters.
Okay.
A lot of times we ended up at Tamarack because they had the bathrooms there, they had the showers, and they had the grass. So, and actually a lot of my youngest friends I surf with were Carlsbad guys too. We kind of meshed.
Yeah, okay. So you guys are like friends. You made friends.
Yeah.
So when did you start working your way up north a little bit?
I'd say probably by about 12, 13, it became clear that, you know, I was an Oside guy, and it was time to surf in Oceanside, and the older guys were like, what are you doing? Kind of, you need to come surf on your side of the tracks kind of thing.
So you got pushed out?
Not pushed out by the Carlsbad guys, but more pulled in by the Oceanside guys. Yeah, exactly.
So there wasn't like this hard localism where you go to the wrong elementary school or middle school.
You know what? There actually was. There was a lot of that, but I kind of always slid through that because I was just a happy-go-lucky guy. Like I said, still some of the old State Beach locals are still friends with me, even though I was considered a Buccaneer local, you know, eventually and whatnot. But yeah, there was definitely friction between Carlsbad and Oceanside. And if you were from Vista, forget it, right? Or Fallbrook. So yeah, that existed big time. Yeah.
And that's what do you think about today? Does that exist today?
I think so, but I think it's different because of cameras. I don't think you can get away with anything because of social media. You can easily be, as they say, as my daughter says, canceled, right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, but I mean, back in the day, you get your fins broke out, get your windows waxed, all that stuff. I got sand thrown in my face, point blank at the harbor. It all happened to me, but that molded me, you know, into who I am today. So
Which is who?
Who's
Jamey today?
Jamey today. I'm a publisher of the Osider magazine that cares very much about my community and where I grew up and watching the change and trying to help be part of the change in the right way where you don't lose the roots, but you still get to see the future of what's happening in Oceanside. Okay. And that's the pride part of it from coming from Oceanside and being kind of worked in like clay almost. And then the other half of me is I'm a surfer and a skateboarder, and that's always what's driven my life. And I feel like that's kind of the straight line through all the other BS. that's always been my constant and always introduced me to new people, created my career, into publishing, because it was surfing and skateboarding magazines that I published, and then eventually onto Osider, making a magazine about my community. And then, we've got the other project, Low Tide Manufacturing, which is kind of like the magnum opus of the surf skate kind of part of me,
Okay, so let's talk about the Osider for a second then.
For sure.
The Osider, how did you learn to be a publisher, and how did you get to who you are today? Did you work?
Yeah, so the short story is, growing up, I started competing at surfing at 12 years old, 1983.
Okay.
And I competed all the way up to the, I'd say, California pro level. There was a thing called the Bud Pro Tour.
Yeah, PSA.
I had a sponsorship. I had, I was...
So you were surfing PSA?
Yeah, I was making, back then, you don't make $100,000 a year. I think all combined, I was making like $500 a month and spending most of it to compete, It was
probably double that, actually.
yeah.
Some gas.
Yeah, with all that, definitely living low to be able to do it. But I think what I realized is, because I didn't really go to college or really concentrate on my high school education too much, what I did do was meet all these industry people, because the people that I grew up competing with at surf contests and going to skate parks and backyard pools, they ended up being all these people that started brands and started this kind of industry, really, the Richard Wolcotts, the Quicksilvers, the Ezekiels, the Vinny De La Peñas, all those kind of guys. So when I stopped surfing, I started working as a sales guy, and then there was an opportunity to work for Transworld Media, which was out of Oceanside.
Okay.
Charlie Anderson, one of my best friends, he had already started there, and he said, "Hey, man," I told him, "Hey, I have a kid now. It's kind of that point where, marketing and going out and skating and being a team manager and all this stuff I've been doing after surfing, it was kind of time to stop that, and I need to get to the next level. And sales is where the money is, right?"
All right.
And he said, "Well, you have all the contacts." There's actually a position to open up at Transworld, but it's in the snow department, which snow is my least. I'm a surfer and skater. I can tell you anything. I'm a nerd when it comes to those things.
Okay.
We could take it back. But snow was kind of like more his thing. But anyways, I interviewed a few times and got in there, and did really well at sales with his help and meeting the contacts. The same thing, really, right?
Okay.
It's action sports. But they quickly realized, whoa, this guy knows all the skateboarders. And so I started shifting into the skate title, and that's where I really learned how to become a publisher, because I went from a sales rep to assistant sales manager to a sales manager to assistant publisher, then eventually the publisher job. And the publisher job for a magazine is the pinnacle of the job. You're kind of the tip of the triangle, and you're kind of directing everything down. You're making sure the sales are happening. You're making sure that you're creating the right kind of marketing through your marketing crew. You're making sure your edit staff's getting the job done. So you really become a manager, which is funny to me that's what I became. But that's what publishing is, Okay. In some terms, they think it's more printing and all that. Those skill sets are within it. But publishing is really just kind of somehow being the one to mold everyone else and make sure everyone else...
Put the pieces into place?
Yeah, all this talent that you have below you in these levels, right? Utilizing them for what they're best at and creating this final product. So
sick. Okay. So that brought you to the Osider. Where was that step at?
Oh, man, Transworld, it was such a pure company that started here in Oceanside. I worked there for 11 years. And over the course of that time, skateboarding exploded. We were making a 400-page magazine. And
you were part of all that.
And we were part of all that. We were the #1 skateboarding magazine in the world. We had launched Transworld Surf. We had Transworld Snowboarding. We were becoming this media giant. And at the same time, though, the internet was coming. And the shift kind of started to shift from print to media. Mm-hmm. And although no one was ready for it, it was kind of a confusing time. And within all that growth, we became this target market for outside America, the corporate world. So we were bought and sold maybe 3 or 4 times in my tenure at Transworld.
Wow.
And by the 4th time, I was so committed, and I bled the brand so much. I wanted it to continue to be what it was in its purest form.
Okay.
And I think at some point I got complacent maybe a little bit, and a little bit of that, but also I just couldn't handle the management anymore. It was just like, you people don't know what you're talking about. You're just trying to squeeze the rock for water. And so I left.
Okay.
Yeah, I ended up becoming a thorn in the side. I left. It wasn't pretty. I'll be honest, it wasn't pretty.
All right.
Learning experience. And then I ended up working for Surfer and Skateboarder magazine, kind of doing the same thing. And then Transworld bought them.
Ooh.
And then I was like, I can't go backwards to Transworld, so it was time to figure something out. Okay. At the same time, Oceanside, you could see it was starting to change. Charlie and I had started the Privateer at the same time, restaurant together.
Yep.
So we were working on that project, and we're like, look at Oceanside, like you can actually get something besides Angelo's or Anita's now. Like, whoa, it's Flying Pig was there, you know. Of course, Gary and Zell at Beach Break, they had already shown that you can create this.
Yeah, they made it way bigger.
This business model, yeah. They grew into that corner, and so they were big mentors of Charlie and myself. But at the same time, I was spinning my wheels, and I'm like, I'm basically like a 40-year-old busboy at this point. Like I'm, you know, fingers and plates and putting in the grind.
Working your ass off.
Working, and my partner for the Osider, who I'd worked with at Transworld, and another one of my lifelong friends, Louis Hayward, had said, hey, what do you guys think about doing a magazine? But we need publishing. We need someone who can help put it together.
Okay.
My partner, Zach, who's still with me at the business, he was a photographer, like mainstream photographer, so he's shot photos of Johnny Depp and Chelsea Handler, you name it. Wow. He did a fashion magazine that was under the Transworld thing called Stance. So he had that skill set. He knew how to work with the edit staff, you know, which is an arm of what you need. I knew how to publish, and then Louis kind of had the idea of this community magazine.
Right on.
So it started out like that, and part of me was like, Oceanside's ready. The other part was, the internet's taken over and trying to kill print, but I think print can be viable if it's done in the right way, in a vertical niche, in a really beautiful way. I think print is timeless. You know, I think the difference between getting a cover of Surfing Magazine or having your edit on the cover of Stab for a week is a huge difference. Huge. Your grandma's going to ask you to sign it. She's going to hang it up. It's going to be in a photo album. It's there forever. So the old school part of me said, hey, let's do that for Oceanside. So we set out, and we got the support of the people of the city.
It's a rad magazine. It tells the story.
It's really cool. What we kind of did is we looked at what everyone else was doing in their local city magazines at the time.
Okay.
And the only good one was really Carlsbad magazine, which Tim Risley was the one who runs that, was actually the guy who hired me at Transworld.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So it was kind of full circle, and I had actually went to him and said, hey, we want to do Osider, you know, we want to do it under your roof, and he just couldn't, I don't think he could, at the time it wasn't in his wheelhouse, so he said, I'll help you, but do it on your own. So we did it, and we just took the formula of Transworld or of surfing and action sports. It's like, it's a skateboard mag. You want big, beautiful pictures. You want really easy, concise, digestible verbiage. And you want it to be really positive, and you want it to uplift whatever your subject matter is. So why wouldn't that be perfect for a city like Oceanside on the rise?
Yeah.
So we kind of set out to do that, and it kind of stuck, and we got great support from, you know, I got a shout out like to Luis at Lighthouse, and Gabe at LTH, and Charlie at Privateer, and Gary and Zell and Harry. Like, we had the support right out of the gates to finance it because we had these advertisers that said, hey, yeah, we value this.
Sick.
And then it's just, you know, here we are 8 volumes later, and we're still going, and the city's continuing to grow. I mean, God knows what it's going to be like this summer, especially once they lift, you know, some of these COVID regulations. Right. There's so much new business. There's so many people. I know the hotel's a sticky situation up there, but you can't stop the change at this point. So I think you have to embrace it and figure, hey, there's going to be more jobs for people. There's going to be more opportunity for people. And so that's the only really battle that I deal with the magazine, is the one like little kid that grew up here when it was ratty and just had Oside pride versus kind of being one of the custodians now of preserving that part of it.
Okay. Because it's changed. It's definitely changed.
It's changed. We could go for hours about that. Yeah.
So that's awesome. Okay, so then you brought up low tide. What's up with low tide?
So low tide is basically, it's a couple things. I mean, when I kind of skipped a little part. When I first was kind of fading out of my surf, California surf career, if you will, I was in my early 20s, and one of my sponsors was an accessory company called Track Top.
Yep. Track Top.
Yeah, so Jeff Kelly and Gary Ward, two mentors of mine as well. Jeff Kelly had left, and Gary Ward it ended up down in Oceanside under the same house that BZ Bodyboards was in.
Oh, okay.
And I got a job being the team manager there. And it was just a connection to that first part of my life, to the pure heritage of surfing. So once I kind of left the mainstream corporate world, we've got this little magazine running. I kind of got out of the privateer. I sold my shares there because I wanted to concentrate on the magazine. And I was like, what else am I going to do? You know, just making the magazine is not enough.
Right. And
then also, what are my true passions now at 45? You know, at the time, well, I'm 50 now, so it was 8 years ago, so I was 42. And I thought, what did I first do when I left? I made traction pads, right?
Okay.
I sold traction pads. But the twist was, when I look at Dakine and Creatures of Leisures and FCS and all these other great brands,
right,
they're very centered around world tour level athletes
Okay.
And they're very clean cut, if you will, very PG-13.
Okay.
Right? And growing up also as a skateboarder, I always was more attracted to the rawness of the skate industry.
Okay.
You know, say what you want, do what you want. You know, if you're smoking a doob, smoke a doob. If you're drinking on the skate park, no one cares. Surfing, that part always kind of gets pushed under the rug.
Especially nowadays.
It's nowadays, not that I'm condoning drinking and smoking, I'm saying just the rawness of it, being who you are, saying what you really feel, wearing what you want to wear. If you want to wear two-color shoes, do it. And you don't have to worry about being ostracized. So I kind of took that ideology, and there's actually a brand called Hard Luck. It's a skateboarding brand that my friend Steve Luther and Jason Jesse had started, and I really have always been attracted to that brand.
Okay.
And I went to them and I said, hey, what if we do, Hard Luck Surf? And they didn't really want to upset the skate balance because it was such a pure brand.
Right, I get that.
So I kind of looked at that and kind of started saying, what could I do that gives me the feeling that Hard Luck does? Okay. And we're writing down names every night, my wife and I, and she's like, what are you doing? And I mean, some of the stuff we came up with, and I just came up with Low Tide. It's kind of that blue collar guy. It's like you've heard this, the expression when, you're pitching in for a beer with your friends and one guy doesn't have money, he's all, low tide, dude, no money, And then also some of the best waves in the world, G-Land, wherever you're at, low tide, it's a little scarier. So we kind of came up with this ideology, like, let's do an accessory brand, even though it's a flooded market, that represents that part of surfing. It's the guy like a Mikey Cottrell, who's been on the show. It's a guy that works 40 hours, 60 hours a week, but when he gets a chance, he's heading to Maui.
Right.
Or like Derek Bockelman, he works hard, glass and sand and boards, whatever he does, and then he goes to Bali for 6 months and gets lost. He gets shots, he gets in the mag, but he's not trying to be on the tour. Yeah. He's not trying to be a screamer. He wants to chase the pureness of surfing.
He's a surfer.
He's a surfer. He's a blue-collar surfer.
Right.
Surf accessories for the working class. That was one of the original taglines. Awesome. And then once we started developing the team, we didn't really want to go after big, lame guys. I said, I want guys in our backyard that
Who's on the team?
So on the team right now is a kid from the East Coast, Brad Flora, who spent a lot of time on Oceanside.
Yeah, I got rips. I see that guy. I haven't seen him in a while, but I used to see him in the
he's back in Maryland. So he was one of the original riders. Max Gardenier at the time, before he moved to Hawaii and started a family. Now he's a lifer, but he's not really trying to get clips and all that. Young Tex Mitchell. Okay. So Tex is our young am. Duran Barr. Okay. Which Duran is, I think, one of the best surfers in San Diego, bar none. Like, a little bit underrated, but I've seen that guy double overhead Hawaii. I've seen footage of him charging it at Pasquale's. He'll do a huge frontside air in front of your face at the pier. If big rock's breaking, he's going to be the one getting the wave. He's just like kind of Mr. San Diego to me. He's more than that, but that was what I liked about him. Okay. And a
local guy.
And a local guy right in my backyard, because that was the other thing. Like, I think a lot of people that start brands now in the new kind of corporate world of surfing, they go out, they get a bunch of venture capitalists to invest like $500,000. They start a company, they place huge ads, they do all this promotion, they buy these big riders, not even knowing if the brand's going to stick. And it just feels too produced for money. Yeah. I wanted to do it the old school way, like they did it with Ezekiel and Volcom and Track Top. I wanted to start small and grow within my community and grow outwards. So we're in year 3 now, and people are starting to know who the brand is. So we also have a kid, Jacob Zakelli. He's the kid that did the finger flip and the Christ Air and their Mr. Wave Pool.
Yeah. So that guy,
that kid's insane. He's an interesting story, and I kind of.
I'd like to interview that guy, actually.
Yeah, we can do that. He's a pretty well off kid from La Jolla.
Something happened though the other day, right? Or a couple weeks ago. We won't say anything.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff happens to that kid. I mean, he's running amok.
So Braden went to up to Santa Cruz with him.
Okay.
My son Braden.
So. Yeah. Braden rips too. Yeah.
So that guy rips, but he surfs. He shows how he wants to surf.
That's what I like.
Yeah, I like it too.
And he makes
that's why I like to interview him.
And that's Low Tide. That's real punk rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
he does what he wants.
Yeah, he's nuts, and he skates and he moto.
I don't want to say he's nuts.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we also share that both our sons are named Braden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, so that's cool. But yeah, and then also because of my time competing and surfing, I've spent a lot of time on Oahu. Okay. So I reached out to Mackay McNamara, and then another kid, Schuler Allen, who's actually from the East Coast that lives in Hawaii. Okay. So we actually have a great footprint in Hawaii because Liam, who I used to compete against, owns North Shore Surf Shops.
Okay. So you guys got in there.
So he carries our product, Landon McNamara, Mackay. So when you're in Hawaii, you actually see Low Tide.
Nice.
And that's the stuff that makes me happy. Like, we haven't paid ourselves a penny yet. Everything goes back into the pot to produce. Right now I'm waiting on a big shipment from China like the rest of the world, unfortunately. So yeah, it's just a really pure brand, and those are the people like Mackay. If you go to Hawaii, he's one of the guys. Once again, like a Durand, he's an underrated guy. He's not John Florence, but he'll hold it down.
His name's.
But he'll hold it strong with those guys, and his family's a very heavy family in Hawaii.
Okay.
And you know how it works over there. You kind of got to play the game over there. Yeah, play the game, show aloha and all that. So that's pretty much the squad. And then recently, Clay Marzo has started getting stuff.
So sick. That guy's.
Yeah, and Clay to me is the most I think he's every pro surfer's favorite surfer.
Yeah.
Like I've never said Clay Marzo and had someone be like, ooh, or raise an eyebrow. They're like, holy shit, that kid's insane,
Yeah.
And we
he's
have
the real deal.
Yeah, and he just he was on Community, and something happened. I think the brand went away, and a mutual buddy of mine, one of the founders of Skate Mafia, Josh Preby, worked. He also started JSLV. He, which Clay at one point was riding for. I think he still is. So he connected me with Clay, and Clay started getting the stuff and really liked it. Sick. And so now we're off the races. So we look bigger than we look bigger than we are, right?
No, you got some good guys on there.
Yeah.
Let's go backwards a little bit.
Okay.
So, how much are you getting in the water? Or is this all? It sounds like you got a lot of stuff going on.
I get in the water. It's funny, the old wall down there at Buck. People are like, get out there. They see us sitting there.
Yeah.
One of the things that changed my life is when you leave the 9-to-5 corporate world and you're your own boss. I surf a lot at like 11:30 when everyone's gone.
Yep.
I surf North Jetty by myself sometimes.
Section,
I surf Buck. I call it gentleman's hour.
Yeah.
I'd say I recently hurt my shoulder in the shore break, so that was about 10 days off. But I'm starting to surf more. But what I do is if there's a swell, I'm Baja bound.
Yeah.
I'm to the point now. It's like, like Jason Bennett and Abaddon. It's like the discussion of how busy the pier's gotten and how we used to hold it down and how there was a hierarchy. And they're like, Uncle, come surf with us. Let's all paddle out, or like let's hold down North Jetty. And it still does exist. The June bugs are out there. Yeah. The guys, the James. The guys that are still there. But I tell them, I go, I'm 50 now, man. I really just want to go surf a perfect point wave by myself with a couple friends.
I just want to catch a good wave.
Yeah, I just want to go, they're like, Baja Malibu. And I look at it, and it's like, there's 1 in 10 that are good. There's 15 jet skis, and there's 4. And I'm like, get them, boys. I'll film, Okay. And so I spend a lot of time filming, and I actually enjoy that now. Like just since I've been hurt the last 10 days, I've been working on some low tide stuff now that I have the time with Tex.
Yeah. And
it's almost as fulfilling when you capture one of their clips as when you get your own these days.
Killer.
And
I saw the little clip on Instagram. I don't know who shot that.
I shot all that stuff.
Oh, that's sick.
And we're going to put another one out Monday, and then we're actually taking off to Baja tomorrow night for a quick little 2-day rendezvous. So I still surf. I don't surf as much as I used to, but I get out there. The one thing that slowed down that I'm trying to get back to is skateboarding.
Okay.
You see I got the little skate park at the house there and stuff, because that was such a big part of my life, but at 50 it's tough.
Are you more for injury-wise it's tough, or just the time? It's finding time?
A combination. I think skateboarding, the time is kind of an excuse, because the thing about skateboarding, you can do it anywhere, anytime.
Well, you can just go in your backyard.
You got to check the waves. You don't have to wait for the the tide to drop, any of that stuff. So, but it does hurt. I got pretty out of shape. I got pretty big there for a while. And about 1.5 years ago, I started working on this stuff called barefoot movement.
Okay.
And I started actually working out for the first time in my life. Because before it was just like surfing, skating, and you're burning calories. Your body's still hurt. But you get older, and what you realize is that it's not the movement that you do that hurts you. It's the not moving. It's the atrophy. It's everything tighten up.
Yeah.
So I'm working with this guy, Rodrigo Galeo. He does a thing called Barefoot Movers, and it's changed my life. It's kind of like this mix of yoga and this thing called animal flow, and almost like a little bit of CrossFit.
Okay.
So there's a big learning curve, and it's cool because I was never the kind of guy that could just sit on a treadmill or do 3 sets. I mean, there was a time when I lifted weights in high school and all that type of stuff, mainly just to keep up with the crew, right? But I need to be mentally excited because I have such ADD and so much stuff. So this stuff is challenging. It's almost like skateboarding or surfing, like the process of learning one of these positions you have to get into or these movements that you have to make is almost like learning how to do a cutback or learning how to, kick
and
foot
is it helping you with, keeping you more flexible, or what is it doing for you?
just my whole upper body strength, and then pretty much not being as fat, for one, less weight, but, you know, being a 200 plus pound guy that surfs, that's not very common, you know, and so to push myself up, and, you know, I used to be able to pop up, switch stance, whatever as a kid, and now, I mean, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
If it's small, it's really hard to surf because you got to do that full push up, get that front leg under you, so it's helped me with my flexibility, my paddle power, and then just my push up, my pop up.
Cool.
And those three things are, I mean, if you
where do you find this at?
I do it online. It's at barefootmovers.com.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, or just follow at Barefoot Movers.
So, anything else about that?
It's amazing that you, as you get older, you think you're just such a purist and you're a surfer and skater and that's it. And I found this, and you know, all the friends, we joke about it because guys like Charlie, who really started taking care of their bodies a little bit sooner, they're like, oh yeah, you're a trainer, huh? You know, and they give me shit. But really, Rodrigo, thank you, because we've talked about it before. I actually did a story on him in the magazine. He's really helped me realize that if I want to enjoy those next 10 years, I got it.
I need to look into that, actually.
Yeah, you got it. If you want to do it with me, I'd love to show you, and I'll set you up. He does a free, 3 trial. And that's what's cool about the thing. He doesn't just, it's not like the gym where they take your $100 and your $10 a month and then they ignore you. Right. You know, he's texting me like, hey, how was your Friday workout? You know,
he's checking in on you.
I noticed this, and the first 3 workouts you do, he just does a one-on-one with you.
Okay.
And you have to work your way up to get into his class because it's almost like capoeira or something. It's like, it's crazy. Look up Animal Flow Official on Instagram.
Yeah, well.
It's really weird stuff, but it's really cool. And then, like, I just saw a Leo Foravati vlog, or Leo, whatever, the Italian staff.
The guy that he won then.
And he's doing some of the stuff.
Oh, cool.
And like John Florence, they're doing their version of it. Theirs is called Gymnastica.
Okay.
And it's basically like jiu-jitsu motion without the fighting.
Okay.
And that's similar to what the Animal Flow is, but there's also some yoga and some other stuff. So enough about that, but yeah, that's really what is keeping me surfing now more.
Sick. And skating. And he's going to get you to skating more.
Yeah. The skating's just in my head. I just have to get on my board. I skated about 6 months ago at my buddy Renee's, Blunt Steel. He's another local business, a welder. And we had a good time. I took some beatings, and you're going to fall down when you skate, but if you know how to fall, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And but then I just didn't do it again. I've been so focused on like the excitement of surfing, I think, that the skating's kind of been the one. And when I was at Transworld for those 10 years, the surfing kind of fell off because I had done so much surfing before, and skating was the center. Yeah, so it's kind of been like first part of my life, surf with the minor and skate. Second part of my life, skate with the minor and surf. And now this third part's like surf. And I haven't put any skating in.
Yeah, totally get that.
So I got to get back to that.
But so what I keep hearing now too is you're talking about Instagram, and so what do you think about social media? And how has that helped your business, and how does that help your life?
Man,
Has it?
I don't think it's helped shit for my life, to be honest with you. Okay. I think it's, you know, I'm a purist, and I'll get into some definite things about what I feel, but I'll start by saying this: social media is up to the user. The internet, period. You can Google something and learn how to fix your trailer. Great.
Right.
But you can also. Everyone has an opinion, and every pro is accessible now. Right.
Right.
So you don't like something, you could send out an Instagram and ruin someone's life.
Yep.
And maybe sometimes it's the right thing to do because that person's life needs to be ruined, right?
Okay.
Like an Epstein or something like that, you know? Like, you're a pedophile, you need to be canceled.
Okay.
But maybe a guy has one bad day as a waiter, and you blow him up on Instagram, and he just had the worst day of his life, and you just happen to catch him on the day, and he's fired now because you canceled him.
Yeah.
Right?
There's no jury.
There's no jury. But the information is there. The other thing that we talk about is being a publisher in action sports. One of the things that drove me prior to that as a kid that made me get into it was heroism and third-party validation.
Okay.
So, for instance, when we were kids, if Nick Carroll said, Tom Carroll, my brother's going to be world champ by 1984, you were like, whoa, Nick Carroll said his brother's going to be world champion.
Yeah.
And the interview was in the magazine, and it meant something, you know? It wasn't Tom Carroll going, yeah, mate, I'm going to be world champion.
Right.
It was someone else. If Derek Hine talked about you, or if Eric Ader did a photojournalism write and photo story about death at Adder Island in Australia, you thought that this was this mystical place that you wanted to get to.
And it was.
Yeah. And then the brands that work with these magazines
sold the dream
together, like, hey, okay, now we're going to sponsor this athlete. He's going to be the cover boy. He's going to be the guy shooting the photos. This is the guy that's going to move product and create this brand with us, right?
Got it.
And I think now, because you can just DM Tony Hawk right now. I can get on my Instagram. I know Tony, but if I didn't know Tony, and I could talk to him.
Yeah.
Before, you couldn't do that. So the heroism's gone. And I think that's going to hurt.
So it makes them a regular person just like us.
Yeah, well, I think that, but I think the mystery of who they are, or the
when you only had access to them once a month in the magazine.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
12 years old, Tamarack Beach.
Right.
Up at the top grass, the bathroom's right there down the little runway.
Yep.
Tom Curran pulls in.
Yeah.
Right when he got his first surfing cover.
Okay.
He was with Rob Brown, the photographer, who I think lived in Carlsbad at the time. I mean, this is 1982, 83-ish.
Okay, yeah.
He has to take a shit, so he comes up to the bathroom and goes in humbly, because he's the shyest guy in the world. There's like 15 of us Groms that all hung on that grass.
Staring at him.
Like, that's Tom Curran, that's Tom Curran.
Yeah.
Boom, goes in the bathroom. My friend comes up, Glenn, my friend Glenn.
Yeah.
Stone, dude, Tom Curran's in the bathroom, dude. He's taking a shit. I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's like, I swear that's Tom Curran. So now, poor guy, Tom Curran's in a stall, public stall, which he doesn't want to be in the first place. He's probably trying to airdrop, not touch nothing, you know.
Yeah.
And we're Groms looking under to see if we see OP shorts, you know. And because he was fucking Tom Curran.
Yeah.
Now, you know, guys like Riley Hawk, Colin Provost, all these pro skaters of an Oceanside, the kids say what up to him because they know him.
Right.
So I think that hurts our industry in some ways, because it doesn't make it as special.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And I think our industry has gone away because there's no magazines to create that energy. There's no more trade shows to create that energy. So social media in that aspect and the internet has ruined that one for me. Because an edit, like you used to have to put a video out every 2 years as a skateboarder. You work for 2 years, you spray it as you break, and Van says, we're putting out your video part.
Yeah.
And we're going to turn you pro, and everyone went and got it.
Right.
You bought the VHS tape, you watched it at the shop, you went up to the premiere in LA, and it was like, whoa, this guy's pro, he's part of Vans. That's all kind of gone now, because
totally gone.
You know, a kid could do a backflip, and it's on the internet, and it's gone tomorrow.
Yep. Yep.
So
move on to the next best thing.
Yeah, so that's my opinion with that, but it's very valuable because now it's the only currency. It's like Bitcoin, right?
Okay.
We don't know how valuable it is, but we have to use it these days. It's like, you know, that's my only form of getting low tide out there at this point, because there's no magazines to advertise in.
Right. It's inexpensive advertisement. Or
well, that's the thing. But how good is it? You know, and now with Facebook and Instagram together, and them doing battle against Google, like, all these people are going to create their own platforms. So now, you know, it's just a giant mud ball.
Yeah.
You know?
Good point.
So, valuable, yes. I love what it can do for you if you're...
And you hate what it can do for you.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, like, you know, like the stuff that it's done politically for people, the awareness it's creating for, you know, social injustice, all these things. But then also, I'm so sick and tired of watching Trump and Biden supporters battle each other.
Oh, I'm over it.
Yeah, I'm over it. It's like I'm just like, and then you're not going to follow your friend because he's always talking about politics,
right?
And then your friend thinks you hate him. It's like you're
unfriend each other and it's over.
Yeah, and then you see him, you're like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
let's go over here.
Yeah,
or
come on,
whatever.
Yeah, or whatever you're into. Yeah. So yeah, that's my internet spiel.
All right, waves around here. So what do you think? Well, we kind of touched on that. You head to Mexico when it's firing.
Yeah, but if you want to talk about like prime of my life, prime swells in Oceanside,
let's go there.
Okay, day to day, I have to touch base. By far not the best wave in Oceanside, but I can blow your mind with some facts of the people who cut their teeth there.
Okay.
And you will get the deepest barrels of your life on the right day is Buccaneer Beach.
Okay.
Overrated completely. Don't go there. All the guys on the wall are going to yell at you. Yeah. But like day to day, it's usually a foot smaller than everywhere else.
Yeah. But it's a little heavier too, though.
It's thick. I mean, people get hurt there. I mean, you look at the people who come out of there: Mike Lambresi, Chewy Reyna, you know, Danny Hayward, myself, you know, like all these people that have grown up there, you know, and
all these guys still there too, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. For the most part, we're hanging out. Towhead's there every morning. I'm there every morning. You know, so anyways, that's home base, right? That's day to day. That's probably the daily surf spot.
But you're still driving, checking the pier, checking the North Jetty and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Taught both my kids how to surf at North Jetty. Always had a love affair with North Jetty. I remember before the road went all the way there. It only went to middles.
Okay.
And back then it was highly localized. And actually Michael Barron was the first person that took me there to surf and introduced me to the Boydens and the guys out the back. Because back then, if you took that walk, they'd send you right back if you weren't one of the guys. You know, it was like I said, it was like, what are you doing here, Grom? Get out of here.
Oh.
You know? So always had a love affair with North Jetty. Kind of our lowers. It's a longer, slopier wave. On the right day, it can be really fun right or left.
Yeah.
Best wave to me in Oceanside when it's doing its thing the right way. Best wave in Oceanside by far, if it's everything on fire, is south side of the harbor at South Jetty.
Okay.
When that right used to blow out, when they used to have this, you know, you remember the sand road?
Yeah.
The asphalt would blow out and the river would...
Before the bridge.
It's kind of been good lately because the river's actually flowing along Jetty.
Yeah.
But we used to call it the L-Wob, which is bowl backwards, and it was code with the harbor guys like L-Wob, and you'd know it's breaking.
Junebug told me all about that.
Yeah. June, me and June, he's a little younger than I remember when he was a little chubby cheek little, rascal hanging out. And I was somewhere just above that, you know. But that wave to me is just when you get it. I mean, the first Momentum movie, all the Taylor Knox stuff.
Oh, is that all that
I was out all those days. I mean, you're getting double barrels, you're getting multiple turns. I mean, waves literally from the top of the Jetty all the way to North Coast Village every time.
Yeah.
Like when it's proper.
Yeah.
I'd say best kind of novelty-ish wave or like wave pooly type wave Oceanside, definitely north side of the pier.
Okay.
You know, you get that south swell, it's got that weird reverse right going against the grain thing, open door tubes. Kind of the most hectic, weird crowd now because it's just so downtown now, you know. And then south side, just the beach break all up and down there. Most underrated waves, I would probably say like Wisconsin Street and like Forester Street. You know, some of the little random streets in between that, like, there's little local guys growing up there, but, you know, you back then, no one even surfed the Rock. The most blown out wave in Oceanside now, the Rock.
Yeah.
Surfline put that camera there.
Usually.
Dude,
Just like easy parking.
Yeah. I mean, when I was...
Forget it. You can't find a place to park, actually.
Yeah. But now I'll look and I'll do the coastal drive and it'll be more crowded than anywhere else in Oceanside.
Yeah.
You know, so...
I got the afternoon, so I'm good.
Yeah, so that's kind of my breakdown. Like, you know, South Swell, big day at right. You're going to get good ones at north side of the pier. You get that right combo swell, south side of the harbor.
Localism now, so you kind of touched on that a lot.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you were booted if that wasn't your spot. So now, how do you feel like the crowd? What's the crowd like now? The local kids, local guys too.
I feel like it's a
lot different.
I feel like a lot of the kids are entitled.
Okay.
Because there are no consequences.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like, do you smack your kids every once in a while or just like take away their phone, that kind of theory? It's like every once in a while, you know, back then, one of your friends would get smacked up, and it's usually because he deserved it.
Okay. And he learned his lesson.
And he learned his lesson, and you learned, and then you handed that one down. Yeah. So I think the difference now is, once again, because of phones and...
It's all good.
Okay, that's my dog, Bowie. So anyways, because of social media and because of phones, if you were to get into an altercation, whether it's your fault or not, it's going to go up on the internet. Your job could be done once again.
Yeah.
You know, I know where you work. If they heard something like that, you'd be done.
Yeah.
Same as the Oceanside guy that does the magazine. I can't smack someone around. They'll be that's him.
Correct.
He's in the magazine. That's the guy. Yeah. Here's his email. You know.
Yeah.
But I do think that there needs to be some education, and that's really what happened when we all got together and started the Oceanside Board Riders Club.
Yeah, I'm going to talk on that too.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. But yeah, I think it's you have to educate people.
Okay.
I think when we were kids, it was like you paddled out, and something as simple as the guy's going right and you're paddling with him instead of against him, and then he smacks your boards like, get out of the way, shithead.
Right.
Instead, hey, bud, you know what? I know you're learning to surf and you're doing a great job trimming, but if I'm coming this way, you got to paddle this way. And go behind me, and you're going to have to duck under the whitewater. You're not going to get the clear part of the way. That's how it goes. Yeah. But a lot of these new guys, they're on their wave storms. Yeah. You know, they don't know. And so
they're starting a little later, a lot of them.
And especially
in age.
The COVID surfer, especially right now.
COVID surfer.
The COVID surfer is, you know, I've never seen anything like it.
Well, it's got to be helping your business a little bit, though.
I think so. I think
they're going to grow the industry or the sport or the lifestyle, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
is growing.
Yeah, you hope that it sticks and that they get to a point where they really start to develop what they like and know what they like, and then maybe they gravitate towards your brand.
Yeah,
for sure. Bigger piece of pie for everyone. So yeah, but I think localism is. I mean, I had a couple pretty heavy lessons as a kid that I still use to this day. As kind of like, okay, keep yourself in check on this one. You know.
Yeah. Do you remember your first board?
I do.
Where was it?
There's two. My very first board was a 411 Maury Doyle.
Okay.
Short story on that. My mom's.
So was it like a boogie board wave?
Well, no, it was yellow banana.
Soft top though, right?
Soft top, single fin.
I don't even remember those.
1980.
I don't even remember those.
And I got it down. There used to be a surf shop down on the corner where the hotels are now on North.
Okay.
And there was a little surf shop. No, actually, I got it from Harbor Surf Shop from Mrs. Boyden. It was, you know where Nautical Bean Coffee was?
Yep.
The Boyden family, which is a legendary harbor family.
Yeah.
And they had a crazy mom that was in there all the time, and she'd yap your ear off. And I got my first board there.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom's boyfriend bought it for me because he was trying to quit smoking. And he had a bet that if we caught him smoking, we'd either get our allowance doubled, which was like $1 or something, or we could get something we really wanted. And I caught him smoking.
Stoked.
Caught him smoking. I had a stomach ache, and I came out. They were like having a party on a Friday night, and I saw him put in his pocket, and I just went back behind. All of a sudden, my stomach went away. I was just looking through the crack of the door. He lit that cigarette, and I just jumped basically from the door onto his lap. You owe me. And he goes, well, what do you want? And I don't know why, but the word surfboard popped out of my mouth.
Oh, cool.
And that was the beginning. And then my first hardboard was a 5'2". Gary Linden twin fin that I got at G&S Surf Shop from Whit Rowlett, and it was shaped for another Oceanside surfer that had traded it in named John Asuncion.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, that was my very first. It was a twin fin from Gary Linden.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
You wish you had those. Do you have those boards today?
No, none of them.
I wonder how many of those was it the Doyle you said?
Yeah.
Like how many they made of those? I don't remember those.
I mean, it was when they were doing the round foam skin board. They had it was pre Mach 7 days. This was early.
I had the very first boogie board. I remember that.
Yeah, it was very early, and it was a total banana.
When you were a kid, did you? How was your family accepting of surfing? Were they stoked on it?
Yeah, I mean,
on it?
No, actually, my mom. She was always a beach baby, and she was a gymnast, but she was a single mom. Our real dad had left us, so she was a single mom just trying to raise kids. So she worked she put herself through school and worked at night and in the day. So the fact that I found surfing, she didn't even know what I was doing half the time. She just knew I was good.
Yeah.
I would get on my bicycle and ride my bike every day to the beach.
Okay.
Hang out till sundown, come home, eat dinner, and sleep. The first 4 years of my life. I mean, until I was 14 and started getting into girls. And so, I mean.
Cool.
And then by 14, I moved out, so that was easy for her.
Did you have like the surf posters on the wall?
Oh, wall to wall.
Yeah. Was it all the local guys, or was it the Currens, Akis, or what?
You know what? I never was I never was like the Curran jocker. Like, we used to play the game, me and my boy Paul Vasquez and a couple of the guys, where you paddle out and you name the pro you were.
Okay.
And
that sounds fun.
Yeah, I always gravitated towards Martin Potter.
Okay.
I never really had the smoothest style. Like my boy Paul, he always wanted to be Tom Curran. He wanted his arms to be in the perfect place and the look back cutbacks, and I was more like, I want to get to that section and crack it,
Yeah.
So Martin Potter was always kind of more my flavor.
When's the first time you saw Martin Potter surf live in real life? How old are you?
The first, it was actually the Stubbies here in Oceanside.
Okay.
Here in Oceanside. I was young. I was young.
Right.
But actually, I ended up getting to meet Martin Potter because of what I did in the industry and
later on in life,
and we got to surf a couple times together. It's really cool.
Right.
I never fanned out and told him that he was like my number one guy.
Yeah.
But I got to surf with him at gas chambers and at Monster Mush in Hawaii.
Okay.
Really cool. Me, Charlie, and him. I paddled out, and there was one guy out, and it was Martin Potter. At this spot, there's this rock underwater, and you kind of have to constantly paddle around the rock.
Okay.
And we were kind of getting pushed down because we'd never surfed the spot, and he kind of was like, "Hey, mate, got to kind of circle the rock." And so he kind of gave us a tip, and then got to hang out with him in Cabo at the surf conferences.
Oh, nice.
Which is really cool. So yeah, got to meet my heroes. Not through the internet, but through actually meeting them.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. I saw him once, real quick.
Yeah.
It was Salt Creek. I was like 15. We all drove down.
Sick.
We were going like weekends, and then it was like during the OP Pro, so he was like private
full long hair, gotcha. Yeah.
Full gotcha with the green board.
Yeah.
I think his wetsuit was green, like a green O'Neill or something.
Oh yeah, he was pretty flashy actually.
Yeah, and I'm just like you guys said.
Yeah. So Potts, Carroll, because I always was bigger and powerful. I think it was all the bike riding.
You're a regular foot, right?
Regular foot, but
You still went for the
I just love Tom Carroll surfing. I just thought his attack was like, he didn't wait for the wave. He told the wave where he was in to go. And of course, all the older guys like Sean Thompson, like I really love the brand Instinct.
Yeah.
And I used to have, because he was so photogenic and off the wall at that time. Mm-hmm. I had so many photos of Sean Thompson early on.
Okay.
You know.
That big Instinct sticker.
The big Instinct. If you was the one.
And that's him in the.
That's
logo.
him. That's actually him. It was his brand. Him and Michael Thompson. So.
Yeah, my kid went to school at the road for him back in the day, so he stayed with him in North Shore.
Oh, that's super cool, man. Yeah. So those were some early influences.
Now your kids, any of them surf?
You know, it's funny. It didn't stick with either of them. My daughter will still surf in the summertime, fair weather surfer, but she never really got to the point where she's paddling out on her own and all that. It was like kind of something she did with Dad when she was like 5, 6, 7. That's cool. My son went to surf camp at OSI and surf ride back in the day, so did my daughter, but it was more like a day camp for him. They hung at the beach. My son got really into skateboarding. That was something that I shared with him, and at the time, I had the skate park at Transworld. We had the skate park here.
So you had access to all these great places.
So we skated a lot together, my son and
Sick.
I. Yeah, that's what was cool.
Pro surfing now. So let's go into pro surfing today. Are you watching it?
Oh, I'm a nerd. I watch it all. I watch the vlogs. I have the fantasy team. I nitpick because I got to a certain level doing it.
So you're breaking it down a little more.
So I break it down, like the strategy, especially when I'm with the younger guys like Tex and those guys when they ask questions, because I experienced some of it and I got to be around some greatness.
Yeah.
You know, so it's fun to do, and I just think the levels are crazy. The athleticism, I think, you know, they used to say that, you know, soccer players were the fittest people in the world.
Yeah.
I think now that the training methodology and the equipment, I think surfers are some of the fittest people in the world now.
They're athletes
of any athlete. I mean, with what Mick brought to the table and guys like Taylor Knox and the training regimen. I mean, when we were doing the Bud Tour, if you were stretching on the beach, you get laughed at. Like, it was like you had to hide somewhere to do any training, and then come like you just walked up, you know. You know, but these kids are insane now, and the fact that, like, I mean, I remember my first trip to Hawaii, and it was like 7'10", 7'6", 7'2", 6'8", 6'6", 6'4" was my smallest board, and like, you're paddling out, and I mean, still to this day, people ride a little bit bigger boards at places like Sunset when you're rolling. But
what was the width on those things?
To watch these guys on 5'10s under the hood at Pipe, like they're airdropping and they're so athletic, and then they're getting barreled, and instead of just coming out and doing a turn, they're doing a crazy, you know, air combo. I just feel like the levels are just same with skateboarding. It's almost beyond comprehensions. If you would have told me as a kid that would be happening now, I would be like, yeah, right.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, you know, are they starting younger, and that's why there's so much? I won't say superior, but I'll say I don't know what term to use.
I think that they're
just better.
I think that they're I think that when I was a kid, there weren't soccer moms in surfing or skateboarding.
Yeah, there wasn't.
And I think that that's part of it. Like, you know, now you take your kid, like if your kid wants to hang out on the weekend, and you're the nuclear family in California, you get in a Sprinter van, you start at the beach, you get some donuts, then you go to the skate park. So these kids are immersed in it, and the parents are saying, yeah, this is rad, this is viable.
Probably organic donuts.
Yeah, where surfers and skaters were always kind of outcasts when we were kids, right? Yeah. Like, oh, that surfer, he's never going to amount to nothing. Skater, oh, that guy's hanging out in gutters. What's he doing, you know? So I think
we're the fast time guys.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's that, and then I think it's video. And this is where I think the internet is good in this sense, and video is good in whatever form, is that when someone puts out a clip, they've probably caught 20 waves to get that one perfect clip.
Yeah.
But your son sees it or my son sees it, and they go, that's what you do.
Right.
So now it becomes commonality. Like, if you would have saw someone kickflip 10 stairs back in the day, that would be gnarly. Now that's a warm-up.
Right.
You know, so to see someone take off under the hood at Pipe, it's not a big deal now. When Tom Carroll did it and did the under the lip, it was a game changer. So I think it's just a progression through video too. I do think the world tour, and I just think it's tough because on the business side of it, they're still trying to figure out how to monetize it and make it sustainable.
Yeah.
I do think the best surfers in the world are actually on tour right now.
Okay.
I think there's been times when the best surfers in the world weren't necessarily on tour. You know, the Dane Reynolds, there was a time, the Craig Andersons, there was times where really high-level surfers were choosing just to free surf and do video, which I thought was cool because it kind of harkens to my skate background. It's all about the clip, not the contest result. So that I think that's a big thing. But I think now, from John Florence to Italo, you know, you name it, like anyone on the tour, and the way they've cut it down and the way the locations they go to, it's insane.
So with that being said, though,
that's right.
Oh, the pro surfing. So you're on the PSAA, but you were surfing 4-man heats.
Yeah.
My only complaint is the 2-man heats. Those could be long, 20 minutes, half an hour, and I'm like sitting there in pipe, like,
yeah.
dude, you kind of I get a little bit bored, but that's just my take.
Well,
so do you watch? Are you watching the rewind?
Yeah. But I think that's like growing up sitting on the beach.
Yeah.
Like if you were a kid in an NSSA and you're there all day. You're there all day. If you make the finals, all your friends slowly start peeling off.
Yeah.
You're getting a ride home with the one other guy's mom that happened to be in the final, you know? And that's just part of surfing, and I think that's why it's always been so hard to package.
Yeah, it is, because seriously, I could spend all day.
Yeah.
You literally, the contest is all day long, and it's like, that's my day off. I just ruined it.
Yeah.
Not ruined it. I'm stoked it's pipeline.
Yeah.
It's fire and pipe.
You saw 4 of the waves you want to see, and it took you 8 hours.
At least.
Yeah. So from
I think they should go with at least a 3-man or 4-man heat with priority. They could do that.
Yeah. At one point, when it was the ASP still, before they went to the WSL, I believe it was 4-man heats all the way up to the main event.
Okay.
And then once it got to like quarterfinals or semis, it started being 2-man matchups, because then you've kind of thinned the herd. And now, like, if a world championship's on the line and these 2 guys made the final, I love that it's just 2 guys in the final.
Yep.
But along the way, and I think one thing that the WSL has done that's cool is the staggered heats.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, where they'll have one heat start halfway through the other, and the priority, and that kind of
cool.
Viewership-wise keeps more energy.
Right.
Yeah.
But the first heat still has priority over the other 2 guys.
Yeah.
That's how it works, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you surf contests still at all anymore, like local ones or anything?
I have not surfed a contest in so long.
Let's get the board riders in.
Yeah.
So now they have brackets for pretty much every age group. There is. From the littlest Grom to the oldest guy that's been around for 7 decades.
It's really cool. It's super cool. And the West Coast Board Riders Club has really done a good job, which is what the Oceanside Board Riders is part of.
Yep.
As the competitive set of things.
Yep.
That's one half of Oceanside Board Riders. The other half is community outreach and helping people in need and things like that we'll get into. But it's super cool because I think that's part of, we talked about localism.
Okay.
This is how we educate the kids. This is why we started it. Yeah. This is how we pull the Mason O'Tooles and the next generation up and say, hey, this is how you guys do it. This is how you be proud of yourself. I mean, we've got some real talent. What John Daniels and some of these surf coaches have done.
Yeah.
With the Katie Simmers and the Timos and
We've got some of the best kids in the world living right here.
Yeah, and Oceanside's a destination for athletes now. There's a lot of professional athletes in Oceanside in surfing and skateboarding now. Mm-hmm. They all come through Oceanside because it's so consistent. It's not the best wave,
right,
but it's the most consistent, in San Diego pretty much.
Yes.
We get all swell directions. It may be a little bigger down south on Norris, but we're going to get the souths all summer.
Yep.
And it's beach breaks, so there's always something. So I think that's what's cool. And so on the competition, and that's part of the reason I started getting in shape, because I would like to surf in the 50 and over.
Yeah.
But it's not easy with Chewy Reyna, Tom Steenbeck, Wally Pua, Jack Beasley. I mean, and I'm the president, so what do? Like, oh, you guys. So kind of what I've realized with that is...
Hey, you got to earn your spot, but you might get,
I'll earn my spot if I do fair and square, but I just try to be more the guy supporting, filming on the beach, maybe helping a kid, that maybe he went out and caught 20 waves and he could have just waited and caught 4. Pull him aside and say, hey, I was looking at what you did out there.
Yeah.
There's some things you could do here. Hey, you know what? Maybe your equipment, you look like you could...
So you want to coach?
Just be part of it. Not necessarily coach, because we have John Daniels that can help with that, who's a great competitor too. And I actually used to give him track top. He used to ride his bike as a little kid in the valley. And they were little ghetto Oside kids too, him and his brothers. And I remember what's this? Is a surf thing? Oh, and I'd hook him up with track top. And I remember we talk about it. It still helped him in his life. Like, wow, I can get stuff. And he went on to do, some QS stuff, and then became a coach. And Eric Kramer's another guy. So there's a lot of guys. And it's cool to see them all come together. Yeah. And so
that's the good thing about Border. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's exactly.
You're bringing the Buccaneer guys, the North Side guys, the South Side, the Pier guys,
all together.
The North Jetty, and everyone's just hanging out.
Yeah, and then you take it to the next level, and it's like, you see guys that you used to compete against in San Clemente, like Archie surfing in the 50 and over.
No, the big, huge names are in the competition.
Yeah, all my friends. Vinny De La Peña and I were the same age. We competed. My first contest, I got second. He got first. Oh, yeah. So we've known each other our whole lives. I worked for him in Ezekiel, et cetera, et cetera. Now we have a reason to see each other again. Yeah. And with no trade shows and no magazines like I talked about, this is one way for our industry and the tribes of surfing to get together. Yep. And I think that's why Australia has always been so dominant, because they've always had the Board Riders Club for the kids to come up through.
Yeah, it'd be like sick to get like a little clubhouse, like a yacht club.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, there's our city, like, because of what I do with the magazine and because what Chris Abad, who's our secretary, does with the Oceanside High team, we just have to get past COVID because we started it right before COVID.
Yep. So with COVID, what's the future look like? Just the rest of the...
We're just
kind of waiting and seeing what happens. But
yeah, we want
to go on full blast right after?
Yeah, full blast. We want to do beach cleanups. You know, we've done some fundraisers for Desi and Reinhardt for cancer. So that's the other part of the board riders that makes us different than just the contest part.
No, I love it.
We want to help the community, educate the community, give back, and we want to do a big local contest.
Okay.
Kind of like what Caroline used to do with Surf in the Summer, but more just for the Oceanside board riders.
Okay.
You know,
I want to get in that for sure.
And raise money and have guys like us in the heats and having fun and get back to that pure part of it. So it's exciting. We have big plans and we have good support.
Love that idea.
And I'd like to do some coaching stuff where we're like filming kids and then doing film breakdowns like they do in Australia. You know, maybe invite like one of the pros 1 week and say, hey, Chewy Reyna's going to talk to you guys about, you know, this part of your surfing and kind of break it down. So that, the board riders are super rad, and it's all the best, coolest people in Oceanside that we have on the board. Everyone from Michael Barron to the Jason Bennett's, you know, and then the John Daniels and the you know.
The names are...
it's all the boys.
Endless, actually.
Yeah, and then all the kids seem like they've embraced it, and we have a really good shot, like with Caitlin Simmers doing on the women and Timo, like, we can really come up from the young end, even if we have to compete against the Archies and everyone.
The future's bright.
The futu's bright, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in the future, what are you looking at for boards? Like who's getting your boards from? Are you getting from different shapers?
I've ridden a lot of different shapers over the years. I mainly ride chemistries.
Okay.
And part of it's just because I'm so proud of Jason for building a business after surfing and that. But also, I've always had
he's a great shaper.
Yeah.
Man, he rips.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Growing up, I was told at a very young age, only ride shapers boards that surf well. And I've ridden Rex Marichal, who's a great shaper from Del Mar, lives in Australia. Yeah. Michael Barron really is who I cut my teeth with. Yeah. He was my sponsor for a long time and taught me a lot of stuff. Okay. And Jason Bennett, you know, he's the only guy I know in Oceanside that got to cover a surfer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was a photo slut, you know, and him and Jeremy, they did a great job for the 90s holding down Oceanside. So,
you want to hear something funny? Yeah. I have all these, like this whole wall. My son doesn't want it. I'm super bummed of Surfing and Surfer. Some Trans World, all the magazines, like this huge wall, right? Yeah. And I look at him every so often. I'm like, I take a picture and I send it to Jason. I'm like, dude, here's a picture of you again.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, that's so
dude, he's
good.
like loaded in there.
Yeah.
He's all in there.
Yeah, so I ride a lot of chemistries, but I recently just got a board made from a buddy who started this brand called Go Shapes.
Okay.
And he just made me a board, and it's he's a guy actually from Cabo and San Diego area. And the idea with that is he loves surfing, but he's not a shaper. Mm-hmm. So he kind of created these 3 or 4 shapers, and he gives them design ideas, and they're Go Shapes. So it's like the guy behind the scene. It's not like Paizel shaping them.
It's not rusty.
Yeah, it's not rusty. But, I mean, San Diego, especially Oceanside, I mean, I think 75% of the boards in California or maybe even the United States are made here. I mean, you know, I mean, you got Paizels, you name it, you know, it's all here. So there's a ton of great shapers, too many to name, but you got to give a shout out to Gary Linden, Takayama, some of the originals, MB. Those are the guys that made it happen here. Linden, yeah, Gary for sure. So much respect to the forefathers.
If you didn't surf, what do you think you'd be at today? Let's say the surfing bug never caught.
Skateboarder.
Oh, you'd be a skateboarder?
Yeah, I mean, skateboarding, I started skating at about 5 and started surfing at about 10.
Okay.
But
so you're high energy. You got to get out there.
Yeah. Either that or soccer. I mean, it doesn't look like it now, but before I started surfing, I was a huge soccer kid because I could my parents would just, or my mom, not my parents, but my mom would just let me loose on the field. You know, and just kick that ball till it was done. So
right on.
Maybe something like that.
All right, we're going to wrap the interview, but you know what I want to know is give us some of the social media, like your handles on like Instagram.
Oh, right on.
Either your personal one or you can...
well, my personal one, which is at Bucklife, Bucclife.
Okay.
Nice and simple, keeping the roots real. At Oceanside Board Riders Club, if you want to get involved with what we're going to be doing in the future for Oceanside and the surfing community.
Yeah.
And then if you're interested in some really punk rock, really blue-collar rad surf accessories, it's at Low Tide MFG.
Okay.
And then, of course, at the Osider Mag.
Okay.
My day job. So, yeah.
Yes, stoked. Thank you so much for joining us. And so that's Jamey Stone, everybody, and I appreciate it for joining us. We'll see you guys around. See you later.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us this week. If you liked the episode, hit subscribe, give us 5 stars, or leave a review. Like us on Instagram, quiver_cast. Music's brought to you by Sal Pedroza. Thanks, Sal. Have a good week. I'll see you all on the water. Later. Hey, you guys. Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic. Numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip from the original print. You literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production, all hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.